Well, certainly that's one of the things, one of the motivations for cutting interest rates is to try to provide support in housing. Because if you think of households and their wealth, probably the largest thing that most households have in their portfolio is their home. Lower interest rates help to make housing more affordable for people. They refinance, so they have more money to spend on other things. It also helps to support housing prices. So I think they'll be optimistic about that. But I think there's so much uncertainty that they ain't changing their tune on holding rates effectively at zero until 2022, I think, for quite some time.
And if we look out to 2022, one of the biggest questions investors are asking is around the inflation outlook, with a lot of the factors at play right now suggesting pressure remains to the downside for inflation. But then when you look out to a few years, we could start to see inflationary pressures build. Do you see the Fed getting more serious about targeting higher inflation? And do you think they'd be able to convince the market that they're committed to that?
So this is the very interesting challenge they have with rethinking their strategy, because traditionally the Fed has said, well, we have a 2% inflation goal, and then if inflation starts to get close to 2% or above that, we're going to raise rates, we're going to tighten. The alternative strategy is to say, well, let's look over a longer term horizon. We've been missing our inflation goal for a decade. Inflation's been below where we wanted it to be. So maybe we can run hot for a little while. The challenge with that is that that can lead people to say, the Fed's not serious about fighting inflation anymore. Inflation's going to get out of control. So they want to try to give the guidance that they really want inflation to get up and be sustained above 2% to make up for it being below 2% for so long. But they don't want to go so far to get people to think, oh my goodness, the Fed's forgotten about its inflation, being tough on inflation, and we could see inflation go to 3-4%. That's, I think, the major challenge for down the line. But as you said, in the short run, it's more a threat of deflation or very low inflation rather than high inflation.
Now, just before we began speaking, we were speaking to another guest around the default outlook for the United Kingdom. But if you look at the United States, on a short to medium term view, how concerned do you think the Fed is about bankruptcies and restructuring? Given all the fiscal support that's in place and all the monetary policy support, it's obviously aided businesses thus far, but is that going to become a bigger concern for them?
So I personally think it is going to become a very important concern, both here in the UK, where I am, because I'm here right next to our new campus in London, and the outlook is a bit or I said more than a bit uncertain for a lot of small and medium-sized enterprise. Once some of the fiscal stimulus wears off, a lot of these businesses simply won't be able to come back, and so you're going to see some fairly widespread bankruptcies. And that's one of the reasons why in the stress tests the Fed has really emphasized making sure that banks have enough capital, even if there are significant losses going forward on the loans that they've made. I think that's a very serious issue, and I think that's one that we haven't seen manifest, and that's another reason why the Fed's going to stay low for a very long time.